This is the Beer Board hearing in which a notice to appear was given to Little Red Shed. You will hear this noise over and over because I don't know how to silence it and turn it back on. So you just have to get used to that part. This is the Beer Board hearing, August 7th, 2023. I call this hearing into session. I will be the hearing officer as the mayor of town of Saltillo. Let the record reflect that all of the Beer Board members who are aldermen are present. We're here today. The town of Saltillo Beer Board has received complaints lodged against your business, the Little Red Shed. Mr. Patel, the complaints against your business, the Beer Board has reason to believe that the permit holder has continually violated the following provision of 2011 beer ordinance. Items from the beer ordinance are: number 3, allow any loud, unusual, or obnoxious noises to emanate from your premises. Number 14, allow assaults, fighting, damaging property, and breaches of the peace occurring on or in the premises of where beer is sold. That is the notice to appear. Chapter number 300 HB 0023 SB 0027, public comments period required. Tennessee state law requires where the public has an opportunity to comment on matters that are germane to the items on the agenda for the meeting. However, it does not apply to a meeting of a governing body or a portion thereof where the governing body is conducting a disciplinary hearing for a member of the governing body or persons whose profession or activities fall within the jurisdiction of the governing body. With that being said, there will be no public comments tonight, but the complainant will be allowed to speak, the accused will be allowed to speak, and both will be allowed to call witnesses. Members of the board, do y'all have any questions about any of that? Okay. We're here tonight, the board authority, the board created by this chapter from our Beer Board ordinance is vested with the full and complete power to investigate charges against any permit holder and to cite any permit holder. The complaints must be filed against a permit holder for the purpose of suspending or revoking such permits, shall be made in writing and filed with the board. The discretion of this board is to notify the permittee, and we have sent notice, and we have cited 2 items from the written ordinance. The effects of this action that is decided tonight will be subject only to review by court. So whatever decision you make tonight is subject to go to court. Penalty of revocation and suspension. The board may at any time impose a revocation or suspension, offer a permit holder that is not a responsible vendor the alternative of paying a civil penalty not to exceed $2,500 for each offense for making a permittee to be made sales to minors. So make sure you understand, a non-responsible vendor. This is not the case tonight. There is no charge for selling beer to minors in this instance. However, the Beer Board may impose on a responsible vendor a civil penalty not to exceed $1,000 for each offense of making a permitting to be made sales to minors or any other offense. So again, we're not talking about beer sales to minors. We're talking about any other offense that we have identified. You have any questions about that much? Okay. Throughout this hearing, that you may hear in previous hearings you've already heard in questions, I want to clarify a few things tonight as we get into this hearing. From the zoning ordinance, the intent of the mixed-use district in which this business lies is to encourage residential and commercial uses that are constant with the community values and that there are not a nuisance to the surrounding property owners. That is the zoning. This business is zoned appropriately and may continue business in that location as the ordinance says for mixed use. Noise ordinance. We have a noise ordinance of 2011-14. We're not talking about the noise ordinance. We're talking about the violations of noise that are attached to the beer board permit. You don't have any questions about that one? Other things that have been asked and questioned, and we'll set the record straight, that the Little Red Shed has submitted a report from their accountant. They have 40% sales of beer and liquor, 60% sales of food. They are in compliance with that standard as people have asked about the business. The complaints, we'll get into that at this time. Board members, y'all have any questions before we get into the complaint? All right, this is a complaint from Drew Barker. He had a written complaint in addition to an email complaint. On July 2nd, the specific complaint that we're talking about that brought us to this hearing tonight. July 2nd, 2023, during various times, loud music from a motorcycle could be heard inside of my house and all about my property. There's a video attached that we will show you tonight. This music was coming from motorcycles parked in the Little Red Shed parking lot. The mayor of Saltillo, Greg Billings, was contacted about this disturbance. As far as I know, my neighbor also contacted various entities about this incident. This is related to my complaint for the 2nd of July 2023. Complaint toward Little Red Shed to Mayor Billings, Alderman. This is from Tim Little. July the 2nd. Our complaint is we arrived at our home to a motorcycle sitting in the parking lot right in front of the building of the Little Red Shed with blaring music consisting of vulgar content. The motorcyclist left and burned out on the highway twice. The first leaving the burnout, he returned to the shed. And with the last burnout, he did upon leaving the shed and did not return. You can still see the marks on the highway. This behavior went on for approximately 45 minutes, and we did not see any attempt at the Little Red Shed having him leave the parking lot of the premises. At one point, the cyclist held the door open of the Little Red Shed with music blaring, and we could hear the laughter coming from inside. Cyclists went in and out of the shed at least twice or more. With Little Red Shed knowingly letting this harassment toward our surrounding neighbors and our home is unacceptable. We did try to contact different authorities and could not get any response before the cyclist left. Could not get any response before the cyclist left. That is in reference to July the 2nd, 2023. Mr. Patel, I will call on you first. Do you have any witnesses to this event on July 2nd?
Yes.
About the motorcycle, who are they?
Harley Rhymes.
Harley?
Yeah.
That's me.
Anyone else?
No, July the 2nd, it was just me and her.
We'll get to that in a minute. So July 2nd, we'll call on you first. So speaking of July 2nd, would you like to speak to that first?
I want to hear that.
You want to hear your witnesses?
Well, I think he would like to hear what Mr. Barker has to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what
Okay.
video he says he submitted.
Okay, I will show it. Okay. So let me ask you, from my standpoint, since my name was mentioned, do you recall me calling you on July the 2nd? Do you recall that conversation?
Yes.
Can you tell the board what we discussed?
Mr. Mayor called me for they got phone call from Tim Little, I guess. And there's a music going on outside in my parking lot. It is too loud. And I tried to explain that I was inside a building, I couldn't hear nothing. And you told me to take it down in an immediate manner, and I did it. And I mean, that pretty much I recall that much.
Okay. Members of the board, y'all have any questions thus far about that conversation between myself and Omi?
I do.
Okay. Let me clarify one thing real quick, I did not mention. Omi, as we all know him from the community, is not the holder of the beer permit. His father is the holder of that. His father gave notary that Omi may speak for him about his business at any time with full authority. And as the hearing officer, I have approved it. Okay. Back to you, Alderman Moore.
Okay. After the phone call, you went out then and had the music turned down?
He left.
He left. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What time are we talking about?
Probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's probably, I'm not pretty much sure.
Yeah, I will attest, it was not extremely late. I did receive a text and a phone call from both the Barkers and the Littles. I did not answer them because in my text, it was stated that, from the Barkers, that they had called the authorities. Therefore, I'm out. I don't need to call you back if you've already called the police. Okay. Any additional questions? All right. Okay, I will defer to the complainants, if they would like to state their case, and if they have any witnesses. So, Mr. Barker, would you like to speak to your complaint?
Are we only talking about the first part?
We're talking about July the 2nd,
Correct.
what I
have,
just read aloud.
Okay, so the second one's coming?
The motorcycle is what we're talking about right now.
So just the one about the
The
noise?
motorcycle incident is what we're talking about right now.
I'm following you.
Okay.
I have two complaints on the
Well,
motorcycle.
I'm not discussing both of them right now.
That's
I'm
what I asked.
discussing one.
That's what I asked.
Okay, I've stated that. So if you want to speak to the
My
motorcycle.
complaint says everything I need to say
Okay,
about the noise.
thanks. Mr. Little, would you like to speak to July 2nd motorcycle complaint?
No, sir. I believe my complaint says
Okay.
everything it needs to say.
All right, so I'm going to attempt, for the board, to use a little technology. So y'all just have to bear with us. Those of you in line of the camera, you might want to step to the side or duck. I don't know what to do. All right, these may not be in the correct order, but I will do my best to show one or two. Yeah, it's coming. Old school technology. Thanks, man.
Crouch over here.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I got you. These may not be in order, so I may cut it and go somewhere else. Let me see, there's, okay, yeah, this is it. Okay, one. See if I can hold on just a second. Hold on just a second, I gotta fix my technology here. Did you turn the button on this at all? Yeah, okay. We'll start again now that I have sound from my computer sound.
Is this July 2nd or 3rd?
This is, I believe this is July the 2nd.
July
Yes,
2nd.
I will be frank with you, this video does not have a date, time stamp on it. I can only assume that that is the time. And if I could get my technology going here. Oh, that was a good sign, I think. Maybe not. The speaker may not work.
You took the video out.
did practice this.
There it is.
All right, so. Oh. Okay, here we go. Operator area, looks like. Well, hmm. I'm lost for the sound for a minute. Hmm. Nope.
You don't want to see it on the face?
So we will skip the speaker. I hope you all, members of the board, can hear. Just to let you know, I'm gonna turn it up as far as I can go on the computer. So with any video, you can control volume, so you just have to take that to heart. See if that does it. Okay, this is close. I believe there's another one. Let me see if I can see it. This may or may not be it. Yeah, okay.
Is this the same guy that was in the other video?
I have no idea.
Is that the same video?
No, different video, different angle.
Okay, so
think
it's the
this-
same,
Same
same,
Same
same,
Possibly could be,
same,
I can't
same
say.
incident, different angle.
Yes, same as. This is a little faint on my computer, but this is the music. Board members, are y'all able to hear that? Probably not, a little bit.
Where's that music supposed to be coming from?
The music supposedly is coming from the motorcycle sitting in front of the building right there where that cursor is,
Okay.
supposedly. I believe I have, maybe another one. You should be able to see 2 motorcycles. Unfortunately, you cannot hear the contents very clearly, I understand, from the computer. This may be something completely different. This is, I think, a different issue, same day. A little music in the back, anyway, so.
And what day was this supposed to be?
This is supposedly July the 2nd.
Still,
Still on
Let me see if this is another video. Unfortunately, my little speaker thing isn't working. These are camera angles from the Barker resident that they have submitted. And I did not email those to the board because our email has a capacity limit. We can't do that. That's the same video. Let me see. I may have shown a couple of these twice. Just trying to get everything in one package. This is a different incident. Okay. So, as far as the video and the sound quality, that's the best I'm going to be able to do on July the 2nd. But you did hear Mr. Patel state that what he stated. I'm not going to restate it for him. So, all right, Mr. Barker, would you like to speak to the video that just played?
I think it speaks for itself.
Okay.
The motorcycle, just to clarify, that was the same motorcycle from 2 different cameras.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Lula, would you like to speak to that at all?
Not really, other than the sound quality wasn't anywhere
Yeah.
justifiable.
Yeah, and that is an issue, board, as you know, that if someone submits me a video, depending on their recorder and how I listen to it at full volume or half volume, whatever, it's hard for me to know as a witness, like they are witnesses to this, about how loud it really was and how disturbing it was to them. So from their standpoint, it was disturbing enough for them to call the police and to make a report to the board. Members of the board, any questions about that particular incident?
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to have someone to comment that?
You have a witness that was there,
That wasn't there but heard the noise?
that wasn't there, that heard the
Heard
noise
the noise through the phone, yes.
through the phone?
Yes, we called one of the
Yeah.
aldermans,
Yeah.
and she was a
Yeah,
witness to the
I'm not
noise.
gonna allow that, but if an alderman wants to add to something, they, just like I did when I talked to Omi, they can share that with us. If
Okay.
an alderman wants to speak to that, but I wouldn't, if they weren't physically present, I wouldn't generally
Right,
accept
I
it. But
understand.
if
That's
it
the
was an
reason I
alderman
asked.
that you were talking to at that time,
Oh, that's fine, I think. I'm all right.
the reason I remember it was the date, because it was my birthday. Otherwise, forget it. But, we were in Florida on vacation, and, Debbie Little called. And I was thinking, and maybe because we were an hour ahead of time, I didn't even think about the time, but that it was around 8:30, so it probably was 7:30 here. But, she had her phone, and she FaceTimed me. She had her phone, and I could hear loud noise. Can I ask a question? Because I didn't ask this at the time. Okay. I don't know if she was inside the house or outside the house.
Yeah, okay.
But she FaceTimed me, and I could hear the motorcycle noise, and I could hear loud music. And so depending on, I know she would have been close to the house, but I don't know if she was in the house or not. But I can vouch for that phone call.
Okay. Mr. Patel, would you like to state anything about this incident that you deferred to speak last?
I prefer to speak to that.
Oh, well, about this incident. You want to speak about that now? I'll shut this for a second. Hopefully I'll come back on with it. This is probably gonna be an issue for us.
You wanna swap? There you go.
Thank
Look
you.
at
Been in school too long.
that. Works well.
My cook was on a day off, so I was in the kitchen. If they're stating they can hear all the way to their house, I should hear in my kitchen too, but I couldn't hear nothing. So, till you called me and I went over there and tell him, and he got a little bit pissy and left because I told him to turn it down, I need to go home. And same thing, like, I mean, that's the best I remember, because I couldn't hear nothing in the kitchen or in the front room, I couldn't hear nothing.
So to clarify, until I called you, you
Yes.
didn't know if you had a problem at all in the parking lot?
Yes, sir.
May I ask you?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I just want to,
This is Miss Tamara Hill. She is representing the Patel family.
and this is a different kind of thing for me, so I'm like, I don't know how we work this, so I'm asking permission. So, to clarify, what I understand is that the mayor called you, you were in the kitchen, and
Yes.
so then you went out to talk to the motorcycle person. They were inside and had left their music going outside,
Yeah,
and so when you talked to him inside, he went out and left, and that's when he got mad, I guess, at you
Yes.
and burned rubber to show who was boss, I guess, and left.
yes.
Okay.
So the guy, I wanna understand because I know we've got this.
Are you directing this to me, the question?
Well, I can. I
Yeah,
mean,
you need to
Okay,
direct.
so the guy is on the motorcycle, he does the first burnout, and he leaves. Then he comes back, and then is that when his music's playing at that point, and then Omi goes out and says, hey, turn your music down, or
Yeah.
tells him, you gotta turn your music down, and then he does the second burnout?
Yeah, great question. I can't answer that because I don't know necessarily anything other than what the complainant stated. And it says in one of the complaints that they were there twice.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's what I
so
thought.
that's all I can kinda assume based on what the complainant said. I don't know for sure how it transpired.
The video that we saw was the same incident from two different cameras.
It appeared to be.
So we're not sure that there even are two incidents.
So we're allowed to talk freely now?
No, this is the
She's-
attorney,
she's
this is the
talking.
attorney. Yeah,
Okay.
she's asking me a question.
Okay,
Yeah, she's
'cause I-
attorney.
But yeah,
So-
that was my question, we're not sure that there are two, because that was two different angles from the same incident.
Well,
I realize that there's an allegation there's two.
and I'm not sure as far as all the videos and inclusion and things like that, but the complainant said there was two incidents. And I'm, tend to believe the complainant said that there, two people came in and out. However, the total incident is basically motorcycle burning out and making noise.
Did Omi know that it was a burnout 2 times? Did he aware of
so
that, or at that time was it just
The
one when he got out?
conversation, I don't know that he knew that or not. The conversation was from me to Omi. Sounds like you got a problem in the parking lot, some loud music, something going on. You need to check on what's going on. And so he and I did not discuss a burnout, but he's already stated that he had no idea what was going on in the parking lot because he was in the kitchen. And his worker, whomever was supposed to be working, wasn't there, so he was working in the kitchen. So he didn't hear anything at all outside.
So
Did I
nobody
state
was
that
up,
correctly?
nobody was up front at the bar?
I'm a bartender.
No, that.
Hold on.
I don't
We're
think
gonna have
he's
a
got
point of
the
order
I
here.
think- I
So
thought
if we're
they
gonna
were
ask
asking-
questions,
I'm
if
sorry, I
we're
thought
gonna
they
ask
were
questions,
asking.
you're gonna direct them to me. I'm not gonna have just everybody talking. So questions should be directed to me if you're called on. So, Alderman Maynard, as I hear you asking me, was anybody at the bar up front?
Yes.
I have no idea. Okay, the owner, the person who is responsible for the business, had no idea what was going on in the parking lot.
So we said,
So if he had anybody at the front bar or not, it doesn't really matter.
Well, I
He
would
does not
assume
have
that
to.
they would have seen it if somebody was
Well,
at the
they
front bar.
may have, but they're not here as a witness. Yes. Okay, all good questions. All right, board members, any additional questions about that particular incident that you would like to ask me? Okay, all right. We'll move on. We'll move on.
You have a witness, another
Yes.
Okay, you got a witness. I did write his name down.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on the
Harley.
pad. Okay.
Harley Ryan.
Okay. You may speak to the board about your eyewitness account.
Harley?
Yes, that's me. Okay. Up front, me and Omi work there. So when Miss Leah is not there, he does cook. Most of the time he's up there with me, but this time he was not. He came in, he ate, had a couple beers, and then he paid his tab, as most motorcyclists do. They start their bike before they leave to let it warm up. So that's when the music started playing. I'm the one who Omi said he's playing music because, you know, within a matter of minutes, somebody's going to be called. So Omi went out there, addressed the problem. He got mad and he left. That's what happened. He didn't come back. He did not come back.
So you had somebody up front, is that what she's saying, that she was there the
She,
night that
as a
this
witness,
happened?
is stating that she was at front at the bar,
And that she did not see the burnout or anything, is what she's saying?
whatever
And
she
he didn't
just
come
said.
back twice?
No, I did see the burnout, but he did not come back twice. But, I mean, I can't step out in front of a moving bike.
So, what I take from that is that she did not see somebody in and out twice. Simple as that. Okay. All right, we'll move ahead. So, the beer board has met previously regarding noise and incidents and things like that. On July the 18th, 2022, we had a beer board hearing, and one of the issues was about noise. And at that time, Mr. Patel submitted a document, I don't know if you shared this with your attorney or not, that says, bullet point, y'all may have seen this before, it may be in your packet, alcoholic beverage consumption in the parking lot, and it's like number 4, our parking area is checked frequently to be sure that there are not people breaking rules. Disorderly conduct in parking area, at that time, they say they're totally unaware of this issue. So, the final page and what they submitted to us back in July, if we do something wrong and break any rules or laws, please let us know. We will correct the problem. So, I don't know if y'all remember that, it should be in your packet. But, Mr. Patel, I want to ask you, because we've been in a hearing before about noise, has Chief Graves made any recommendations to you regarding how you can resolve the noise issues or the complaint issues at the Little Red Shed?
Chief Grace said about having somebody to watch the parking lot, hire somebody to watch the front door and parking lot.
Yeah.
And the sign should be up, and for the noise, keep your noise down, and I stated that, and keeping my noise on the downside. And before I have any kind of live event going on, we make sure the noise is not loud. If it is loud, we take care of it and turn it down.
But in this incident, you stated earlier that you had no clue that anything was going on in the parking lot, correct?
Yes.
So have I, as the mayor, given you any advice on how to resolve the complaints or the noise in the parking lot?
Yes.
Can you tell the board what we discussed?
You said keep somebody outside to watch your parking lot, and tell them when they come in not to blur their music, or while they're going out, keep it peace. Don't pull out while your music is loud or loud, and go out peacefully.
Board, y'all have any questions? Thus far, okay. All right. Okay, we'll move on to complaint number 2, July 29th, 2023. This is from Mr. Barker on July 29th, 2023, beginning at 11 p.m. This is an estimation. A Corvette was driving erratically in the Little Red Shed's parking lot, over-revving their engine and causing a disturbance. Video we'll watch if I can get it to work. When the Corvette finally stopped in Little Red Shed's parking lot, a physical altercation occurred involving multiple people, also causing a disturbance. witnessed by us and our neighbor. See the attached video for the part of the altercation. See upper right corner and front driveway video. One participant involved was last seen walking down 69 towards Saltillo. When we watch this video, I'll warn you that it's a dark image and I'm not able to clear it up too much for you. Also from July 28, 2023, this is from Mr. Barker. Around the same time, 10:14 p.m., two females, large group of people. She left a Little Red Shed's parking lot on foot, crossed the Highway 69, and attempted to enter my property. I'm assuming they only stopped because they tripped our perimeter alarm system and saw me go to the front door in response to my perimeter alarm being tripped. I do not know what their interactions would have been if they succeeded in gaining entry upon my property unnoticed. This created a major disturbance at my residence, putting my family in a defensive posture on high alert for intruders. Once again, disturbance caused Little Red Shed customers have led to major incidents. And once again, the only reason I did not, because I did not pursue this disturbance. This is not a beer board issue. So that's in your packet. Beer board doesn't decide on that. And so you got some historical issues in here from the beer board from previous hearings. You have in your packet, you have some, I say, photos of some Facebook stuff. Be honest with you, I don't give a rat about what's on Facebook. It's full of lies and abused, and there's no way to know who's telling the truth and who is not. We're not going to entertain Facebook junk. I won't hear it. So for members of both parties, if you disagree with that, you can take it to court. I'm not hearing it. All right, so we'll watch the video about the altercation at this time. Okay, there are two videos. They're kind of short, and again, the upper right-hand corner is what the shot is. I will give you my perception of it. This is going to be the best view you're going to get, and the best volume. It is very quiet because it's a distance away. This again is from the Barker's surveillance cameras on their property, and it may be hard to see. You should see over in the far right corner like a headlight up there, and you may hear something at the end.
Hey, you turn the lights on?
No, sir. No, sir. We're not going to turn the lights on. We had too many people in there. All right, I'm going to play that one more time. Okay, so I will show you right here, and I will describe it to you. I will describe it to you best I can. Right here, there appears to be two people, a female and a male, involved in a altercation or domestic dispute or something. The complaint says multiple people involved, and this is all I see when I look at this. Unfortunately, I know you can't see it very well, but due to security concerns and the crowd, we're not going to turn the lights off. Here's another shot. This is the car incident. Should be able to see a little car right there. that's the car video. So there's two videos that I provided to you that I know that it's dark, it's at night, you can't see it very well, but that's all I have to show you. But you do have the written complaint, and I will defer at this point in time to, that's all the video, to Mr. Barker, if he wants to speak to the altercation first, and then to the issue with the, oh, careful, oh, careful.
That's usually reserved for Grace here.
So, Mr. Barker, would you like to speak to the altercation on the property of Little Red Shed first?
Sure, the altercation is between multiple people, the male and the female, so multiple too.
Okay,
And that was, after that, soon after was when the male was last seen walking down Highway 69 towards Saltillo. And as far as altercation goes, that was really it. They come out, had some words. We had already been, I guess, disturbed, if you will, from inside our house. It was 11 p.m., so they already had our attention, so we were
right.
already watching it.
So, I'm gonna repeat what I believe you said, was there was an altercation between two people,
Correct.
and that you had noticed that and picked it up on your camera. Okay. What about the car? You wanna speak to that at all?
The car video picks up soon after. What isn't shown, because I didn't I didn't realize it was gonna be an incident, was when they first got into it, there was levee and there was things like that. And the video doesn't give the sound notice, and that's what alerted us to there's something going on. And it's 11 o'clock at night, sound carries, and we were disturbed. And then I started the video and you saw what happened.
All right.
That's really it.
Okay, Mr. Little, I wanna make sure, you didn't have anything about the car or the altercation, right? You didn't submit anything on that, it was just
Yes,
the
yes, I
noise?
did.
You did?
Yes.
I didn't read it aloud, did I?
Did,
Oh.
no, you didn't.
I don't think I did.
We submitted it.
If you wanna speak to it?
Well, it's the same instance,
Yeah.
disturbance outside. Car almost looked like almost ran the Little Red Shed, it was so erratic. And, I'd say one thing, you gotta remember you got 4 eyewitnesses to all this, it's not just one or two, it's 4 people.
Yeah, two complaints, but
Four
four people total. Yeah. Right, okay. Thank you for that clarification, thank you. Okay, Mr. Patel, do you have a witness that you would like to present regarding the altercation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. David Hart.
Mr. Hart, would you like to tell the board about the altercation you witnessed?
Yes, sir. I was on the inside, about to pay for my meal. Everyone inside the place heard gravel spinning, and then we noticed that the car did nose toward the front door, and I was like, wait, don't go out there, you know. They managed to get the car backed away from the door, and then actually pulled parallel to Highway 69, spinning gravel the whole way, and then they stopped right there. So I went out there to see what the deal was, and come to find out, it's a 6-speed manual Corvette. So their parking brake would not actually release. So to get the car to move, to try to get it going, they were having to give it a lot of throttle to get it going, and they were trying, at the same time, trying to get the parking brake released. So I go out there, I'm a mechanic, and I go out there and I'm trying to get the parking brake released, but the gentleman is sitting in the driver's seat. So I asked him if he could step out, you know, so I could see what I could do to get it released, so that these people could leave. When he stepped out, the lady that was in the passenger side stepped out as well. That's when they met at the back of the car, and to be honest, I don't know what their deal was, but there was an altercation, and she took a swing at him, and then he takes off walking. Now, there were multiple people outside, and we were all like, look, let us just put your car over to the side, we'll try to fix it tomorrow or whatever, let's just get you guys home, you know. The guy wasn't having it. I ended up getting the parking brake unstuck and driving the Corvette back to the lady's house and drove her home, and another patron of the Red Shed picked me up in his side-by-side. And the gentleman, you know, refused a ride. Multiple people offered him a ride. Both of them were right. He refused a ride and started walking down Highway 69. And it's my understanding that he eventually got arrested. On what charges, I don't know. I wasn't there present for that because I was getting her home and getting a ride back to my truck.
Mr. Patel, would you like to speak to the altercation in your parking lot or the car spinning gravel?
Yeah, same thing. When we see the car coming in, everybody was ready to go home.
Yeah.
I was ready to close down, and they couldn't lift the
Yeah.
handbrake out. And me, David, other patrons, we tried to help them out. To
So were you aware of the altercation going on in the parking lot?
It was no altercation. The guy just doesn't want to come out from his driver's seat.
Well, let me disagree with you, because I watched the video, and it is specifically a punch thrown in that video.
I mean-
Now, you may not have seen the whole thing,
No,
but there was an altercation.
I'm coming to that point.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So the guy doesn't want to get out and let David help. The lady come out, and then it start like she said a mean word, and he come out and he got pissy, and she just had a punch, and I tried to stop the guy to tell him like, let us give you a ride home safe, and you can leave your car in my parking lot, and we all can drop you home. And he keep on walking, and why they punched it was, that's what I said, like he just didn't want to get out from that.
So let me ask you, were you present at the time of the altercation?
Yes, sir.
You were there, okay, all right. That clarifies it for me, all right. Members of the board, do you all have any questions about the altercation or the car spinning gravel, anything like that for me?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, this is saying that it happened like at 11 o'clock, and then there was an altercation. Had they been in and ate, or had they just got there and he said it was closing? What?
He stated they were trying to close their building, but I will ask you, were those patrons of your business, were they in there eating earlier on?
No, they walk in by 10:30, and
They walked in about 10:30.
and we were trying to close it down. We start closing everybody down.
So they came at closing time, so
Yeah.
they never went into your establishment? They were just in your parking?
They came in, and I told them we closed it.
But, yes,
Were they served anything? I mean, you closed your kitchen, I'm sure, but
So-
were they served any
so let me
water,
ask you,
soda?
were they served any food, drink, or beverages?
My bartender served them one drink because they were already, when they walk in, they were already intoxicated, and we told them that be it, there's no
So
more
I'm
drink.
gonna ask, is this the same bartender that was there on the night of this
Yes.
incident? And, ma'am, I can't remember your name, is it
Harley.
Harley?
Yes, sir.
The video that we just played in the car, did you serve these patrons any food, drinks, or alcohol?
They did get food on me. They got fried pickles and banana peppers. I don't know how I remember that, but I served them one shot apiece. And because with me, you know, they did come in, I did think they were a little bit under the influence. So I was like, I'm gonna give them this one shot, and because it's easier to cut somebody off when you've already give them something a little bit of what they want, because it cuts down the altercation. So I gave them one shot each with salt and lime of tequila, and as I was serving it, I told them, you know, we're closing down. I said, I cannot serve y'all anymore. Of course, you know, they didn't like that, so that started off right there. They still paid, they left, and then, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, board members, I have called that eyewitness who was already there about that incident. So, any additional questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone call 911 with them in the parking lot?
I will ask.
Oh, okay.
So, during the altercation, was any authorities called about this?
No, sir.
Okay. What about the reckless car? Authorities called or anything?
No.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I'm going on base what Mr. Hart said, the emergency brakes, so no authorities were called in any of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they, I understand you say, and from the witness, that y'all tried to, or attempted to handle that yourself to the best of your abilities on your premises.
Yes.
All right. Okay, all right.
Mayor, may I ask you one
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Mr. Patel, am I understanding correctly that you all, basically, the woman did throw a punch, but then you separated the parties and he walked off, and so the fight was over?
Yeah, they both separated after that punch. The guy keep on walking.
So it was over, and
Yes.
so you did stop it?
Board, any additional questions for that? So, I have, presented you information based on complaints that, you have been able to hear tonight. You have been here to beer board hearings before regarding the Little Red Shed. There has been a little bit of history for Little Red Shed about complaints relating to noise, disruptions, loud motorcycles, things like that. And, you know, as we hear this, it probably makes the board wonder about a continuation of these type of things. So we're at the point in our meeting where, based on this incident, where we have 4 witnesses that have made complaints, and there are 4 witnesses that you've heard, that your job is to determine if what you have seen, based on what was presented, if their license should be revoked or suspended. That is the question for you as members of the board. I would entertain discussion of that fact after all information has been presented to you, and you know the history because you've been on the beer board. But the decision first that must be made is, will you suspend or revoke or do nothing? So there's really 3 choices. Do you find evidence to suspend, revoke, or take no action? And then if whatever those you decide, we will determine the next steps for that. So I will entertain discussion from the board and what you have heard based on the beer board ordinances, the witnesses and the complainants and all of that. This is your decision at this point.
And I have a question.
Okay, sure.
So, if I read this right, and maybe I didn't, can the vendor, which I think is a Little Red Shed, the way I read it, of the way that I read it, is that they could also be given a fine? Now, let me
In
ask
lieu
you.
of,
Oh, so I was gonna say, is there anything else to that, or is it just, they can be fined the first time, because we haven't done anything, you know, we haven't done anything to, you know, so I'm just asking that question,
well,
because it is part of it, I wanna know,
I'll
you know.
clarify it for you, that in the history of the complaints, we have given a probation to the Little Red Shed, and that they had like a 30-day probation. That is not in the policy, that is not in the ordinance, but we gave that under previous administration. So the first thing is that a responsible vendor can be revoked, suspended, or fined in lieu of revocation or suspension. So those are a few choices. Okay. But first you must decide is you have enough information and evidence based on what we have cited. We've cited, you may have that was the first thing we read off about the cited of item number 3 from the beer board. allow any loud, unusual, or obnoxious noises to emanate from its premises. That's the first thing. The second was to allow assaults, fighting, damaging property, and breaches of peace. So, from what you've seen and what you've heard, and what your knowledge is of the incidents, is there evidence to revoke or suspend the license of a responsible vendor? And again, I say responsible vendor because we're not talking about sales to minors of alcohol.
Mayor, I got something I want to say.
All right, go ahead.
And I've battled this for 2 months, and I was praying we wouldn't get to this point. But unfortunately, here we are. And before I get started, I want to make sure that this is no reflection on the Littles. Tim and Debbie Little's two of the greatest human beings I've ever met. But this is absolutely to the Barkers and the rest of that group. After the meeting in July, I was cornered outside. And I have a strong, strong moral compass. Strong moral compass. And because of this conversation, it forces me to say something. I was cornered outside after that July meeting, and we talked about the red shed and these complaints, and I've not told anybody about this conversation except my little wife. I've not talked to these aldermen. I've not talked to the mayor. I've not talked to Omi, Iushi, the Barkas, the Littles, or nobody. I've kept this so quiet because it's bothered me so bad. I was cornered outside, and the gentleman makes this comment. We need those people gone. I said, those people? He said, them people. He said, they come to our country, they take our businesses, the government gives them tons of money, they take our motels, they take our convenience stores, they take our gas stations. We need them gone. It's not right. I know it's not right. I know you know it's not right. And I looked at him flabbergasted, stunned, because now I know now we're dealing with a racism issue. So then I go back to the history. I've got the pictures of all them yard signs, Mr. Barka. I sure do. And I got the picture on my cell phone of that Blackbeard flag that nobody here probably knows what it stands for. I do. I know exactly what it stands for. Blackbeard was a pirate who took slave ships on the.
If you're gonna call me a racist, we're gonna have problems.
Oh, no, we're not gonna have problems.
Well, we're not gonna go back and forth, I assure both of you gentlemen. I'm not gonna allow it.
Let me just make
I'm
my.
not gonna allow it.
I knew you'd get upset. Just let me make my point, Mayor, and I'll talk to my mayor.
My daughter's black.
Okay, that's
My
fine.
wife's
I'm not gonna have the back and forth, Mr. Barker. I'm gonna ask you to leave.
The
I'm gonna
Blackbeard.
ask you to leave.
Roger that.
Okay, step out.
I'd like to leave while he's leaving, please.
That's two of us.
Go ahead.
The Blackbeard flag, Mayor, stands for a pirate who would stop slave ships on the middle passage. That was transporting slaves to the United States and or to Europe, and he would take those slaves and sell them for himself. That's what the hourglass in his hand stands for. The time for those on board is coming to an end. The arrow through the heart stands for if anybody tries to stop me, they'll face death too. It's an absolute racism flag. And then to hang a brown skeleton upside down. Where do you buy a brown skeleton? I've tried to find one for 2 months. You can't. You buy a white one, you paint it brown. We are dealing with a racism issue across the street from the red shed. That's why we've had 2 years worth of these complaints. That's why we're continually drug in here, because as long as an Indian owns that shed, we're going to keep being pulled in here.
It's about us too.
I'm coming back to you, man. This has, my complaint as far as that, no reflection on you,
Be
man.
sure that's.
Are we speaking out of time?
I'm not gonna have the disruption in the room. So,
But in my mind, we're here with the Little's complaint. All the others in my heart's null and void, because I know the heart of the matter. And I'm willing to recognize Tim and Debbie's complaint, but I would ask for this board to completely erase every thought of the Barkas and the rest of that crew that comes in with them.
okay, well, I'm going to respond to your comments that I believe a lot of this issue for the beer board certainly is an issue for the neighbors, but it is to the level of a revocation of suspension, that's for you to decide. But what I can tell you, as a board, that much of this issue is about a neighborhood feud. And I will give you an example tonight of this feud that's been ongoing. The Littles are not part of this.
No.
They are simply concerned about the continual noise in the parking lot, which I'll address momentarily. But the signage and stuff across the street is where everybody can see it. But on the little red shed sign, we have a member wearing this shirt tonight that says shed ? On the back side of it.
No,
Uh-huh.
no, sir,
All right, so you got a different one.
you are
Okay.
incorrect.
Okay, well, I thank you for not wearing the one that I thought you
No,
had.
I was not.
So, Mr. Patel, would you like to address the board on the shirt that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Like usually I try to keep my people under control, not to make the loud noise. One of my customers come up with the 20 shirts for me. With on the back side it says F the neighbors. And after that I never ordered the shirts again. I mean, one of the customers, just to support me, he brought me those shirts.
So,
What's the backside say, Mayor?
the backside, not the
I'm not
shirt
seeing
she
it.
has on, different
Same
side.
It says F and
But
neighbor.
it says
But it
on the
says
bottom,
shed ? Looks the same. I have seen people wearing it, and I have dressed only about that shirt. And that continues the feud to say help the neighbors, regarding of what you think. That's his patrons. And you said you did not order those shirts?
No,
Yeah.
I have customer bring it to me.
Okay, so all aside, a great deal of this is about a feud between the business and the property owner, to me. Is there noise in the parking lot? Mr. Patel said, yes, there has been, the way I understood him to say it. His witnesses described some of the noise in the parking lot. Mr. Patel has been given good advice about what to do to eliminate some of these noise issues. And to my knowledge, you don't have anyone monitoring your parking lot.
Me or the other lady, my cook, we both constantly go and check our parking lot. And since my business going slow, I mean, I can't afford extra help, so we try to get it done.
You're making rounds, right?
Yes.
Parking lot.
Making rounds or what.
Yes.
But in at least one incident, you didn't see any of that, didn't know anything about it.
That
Until I
day-
called you.
Yeah, that day my cook was not
Yeah.
present. Usually that's where I am.
Okay. So, board members, that's just my opinion, just like yours, as far as the feud is concerned. The policy is very strict about noise. You have to decide if it's continual or excessive or a violation thereof. That is your job tonight to determine, should it be suspended, revoked, or no action.
Mr. Mayor, may I say a word?
No, Mr. Bob, unfortunately, you can't. This is a hearing, and you're not a witness to it.
But I have opinions though.
You do have opinions, and you can come to a regular board meeting or a regular beer board meeting. We'd be glad to hear you.
Right now, it's too late. Next board meeting, if you pull this license now, I don't have no say in it.
Well, I understand, but this is a hearing, so unfortunately, you can't speak about it tonight.
It's the wrong way you're doing it. I'll
Well, that's
tell you
what the
that.
policy says for state law, sir. Okay, all right. All right. Any additional board member?
Tell me,
Yes, sir.
what is suspend versus revoke?
If you revoke the license of the Little Red Shed, they will not have a beer license for 1 calendar year. However, you need to understand, if the board decides to revoke their license, they will still be in business. They will still sell alcohol by the drink, because that
I
is,
think that, excuse me, but do you have a liquor license now?
yes, they do have a liquor license. And
Thought
that is
somebody
under
had said that
ABC.
they had turned it in.
That is under ABC, the liquor license is. Okay.
And suspension would be for,
Well, it could be for 30 days, 90 days, 120 days.
We decide that.
We decide that. Or if you take if you take a punitive action, you can fine in lieu of suspension or revocation.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one question.
Sure.
In your ordinance, how is, continuous defined? Because we're talking about one incident,
Yeah.
which actually I think occurred before your last meeting, right? Wasn't there a meeting on July 18th?
That was the previous year.
Okay, my bad.
Previous year, yeah. But it is a continuous question because we have had many Beer Board hearings, or had a couple, and we've had other complaints. And so that is, like I said, with the two incidents are inclusionary of a previous meeting.
Right, but continue, that's, I just asked, that's why I was asking, continuous noise was defined. If this is
Yeah.
one time in 6 months,
Yeah.
is that really a continuous
Well,
noise?
it's very subjective, yes, very subjective. Yeah.
And my other question would be, there was a, and I wanna address you, I don't wanna address.
True.
But there were 4 witnesses, and I guess my question is, are there any other videos? And are people just staying up at 11 o'clock to see what they can catch, so that they can get the Patels out of town?
I can't answer that question for
Right.
you, but.
But it's just something to think about.
Right. So members of the board, you have a difficult job.
Well, I mean, in my mind, we got the little complaint. I'm not going to make any motion or vote against any business or a man making a livelihood based on a feud.
Are you making a motion to not pursue any action at this time?
Well, it's difficult because it's Tim and Debbie.
Might I make a suggestion, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
This action has been filed with the Chancery Court of Hardin County as of today. Would the Beer Board like to defer to the judge, the Chancellor in Hardin County, to determine once and for all whether this business can serve alcohol or not?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
When would that,
Well, you-
when would that, when you file a complaint with Chancery Court, how long a process does it take for
When
that
when
to
will it go to
take
court?
place?
No,
Okay, well, of course, you know, we all know how
Yeah.
slow courts can be, right?
Right.
The defendants will have 30 days to answer the complaint. There will be some discovery, and most of the discovery has already been had because you all have provided through the public records all the complaints and the videos and things like that. So hopefully that would speed things up. I would like to try to, once the complaint is answered, to get a trial date within 6 months. And I realize that's 6 months, but to have it settled once and for all by a court relieves you of the distress between neighbors and friends that you really like and a business owner in your community. It takes that burden off of you all and puts it in the hands of the court, which, if you take his license away, that's where we're going anyway. So.
Do you have a copy of that?
Can you have a copy of the
Do you
complaint?
have a copy of that?
We have one copy of it, but I've gotta scan it from my records. The court has copies, and the sheriff's office will have copies.
Okay, so the issue is that, as you stated, that they have filed a motion in Chancery Court to deal with some issues that are ongoing between the business and one of the property owners, okay? It doesn't change the fact about noise, because noise can still exist regardless if they sell alcohol or not. So, but there are things a judge in circuit court can determine as far as operationally that we cannot determine. So you have, I guess, if you motion to take no action, I can assure you that there's gonna be action, because the attorney has already informed me that they're gonna take this issue to court. Whatever decision you make, if you revoke, I would dare say, knowing Miss Tamara Hill, that she's gonna take it to court. So your decision is gonna end up court either by you making a decision or not making a punitive decision. It's going to court, and it may go to court in both matters. If you decide to suspend or revoke, they still have the opportunity to go to court and fight that. But, you know, it's your decision as a board, based on what we have heard and what our history is, to suspend or revoke. I will say it's very rare that a business owner loses a beer license for noise and disruption in the parking lot. And probably almost all cases, it has to do with selling back beer or alcohol to minors repetitively. So that's where we are. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Are we at a point where we can make a motion, or we can discuss more, or where do we, where are
You're at a
we?
point to make a motion to take punitive action or not, or discuss. I mean, you're the decision maker. I'm only the hearing officer, as I've tried my best to monitor both sides of the argument.
You've done good.
We've been here a lot of times, and everybody loves Omi, and everybody loves everybody else, you know. But the noise is a problem. I don't feel we should suspend, since it is going to court, suspend or take his beer license.
Okay?
But
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But because of the ordinance number 3 and 14, I think both sides have agreed that those things happened. And we know it has happened over the last year and a half, whatever. But I would make a suggestion as one of the board, and open it up for discussion, that we fine, and the law says, I think you said at the beginning, up to $1,000 per violation. So we have 2 violations here that everyone has agreed upon, and the max is $1,000 per violation. I would make a suggestion that
I think you need to
we
make
won't own in business, but that we fine him, or the red shed, $250 per violation, or $500 per violation, and that.
So let me get you to rephrase that in a motion, if that's what your thought is. So what you need to put it in a motion and we can vote on it.
Okay, after I put it in a motion, will there still be discussion?
Yeah, the
Between
regular
the board.
Robert's Rules of Order will
Okay.
be entertained.
Okay, I make a motion that, we do not suspend or revoke the beer license, that we, fine the red shed because of the 2 obvious, and both sides agree, that we fine him, $250 per violation, which would be a total of $500, and then wait till, well, I'll stop there.
Okay. So a motion has been made to fine the Little Red Shed in lieu of suspension or revocation for $250 per incident that we have discussed tonight. Is there a second?
I'll second it so we can discuss it.
Okay, a second by Alderman Maynard. Discussion.
Well, on the domestic violence incident, you can't really stop somebody from swinging, especially a husband and wife at each other. But as soon as Omi got word, it stopped. I would say that's an absolute no. no more than you can stop me from swinging on Benita right here. Well, just say, I mean, it's reactionary, you can't stop that.
You need representation.
We're, yeah.
And then on the other one, there's some confusion because the video did play twice from a different angle, so to be very clear. The guy's got his Harley running with the radio playing while he's waiting on the oil to warm up. You call on me, he comes out and asks the gentleman to stop. He gets mad and squeals out his tires. Of course, once he's on the highway, it's out of our jurisdiction anyway. So the spin out has nothing to do with the Deer Board. Just what happens in the parking lot.
So,
I just don't know how we vote yes on that one too, or either.
okay, understood, discussion part. I will say, being a responsible business owner, you should know what's going on in your parking lot all the time. To me, there are things that happen that you just happen in an instant. Is that one of these things, or is it something that is, like I mentioned earlier, a nuisance to the environment and to the neighbor? That is certainly the task for y'all to decide, so additional discussion.
Well, the reason I got the phone call, and whether she was in the house or up in the yard, you know, it was extremely loud music, okay? So I'm at home by 7 o'clock, but we have had numerous and other people that have come and spoke to the board about noise. And the littles are in a bad place. And I do think that I think the noise could be controlled better. So, that's my comment back to Alderman Preacher, but.
Additional discussion?
I do wanna say this, whoever giggled when I said that we had worked, I felt like we had worked and done about everything we could on that.
We're not
apologize.
gonna
I
address
hiccuped.
that, we're
It
not
was
gonna go
not
back
allowed.
and
I
forth.
hiccuped.
We're not gonna go back and forth.
I feel
hiccuped.
like,
I apologize.
I do feel like I think that this is weighed on all of us since the day we all came into here. And nobody wants to see a business shut down in this town, nobody. But I think there's gotta be a better control of things, and I don't know if that's what a judge is gonna do. Is a judge gonna
Yes, the
say?
judge will
Is judge gonna
set
say,
parameters.
okay, you said at 10 o'clock you had the music shut down and it was quiet there.
Well,
And so
we're not
I'm just
going back and
saying,
forth.
I'm just saying, is that what a judge is gonna do?
Yeah, let me explain to you what a judge will do. A judge has full authority to prevent the business from selling and operating, selling alcohol. And they do have the authority to curtail hours based on the case that comes before them. So, and I'm not an attorney, Ms. Hill is, our attorney is not here, so I'm speaking to you as the mayor. She's not gonna address it, she's their attorney.
Right.
So we're not gonna hear what she thinks the judge may do.
Right.
I'm telling you, from being in different courts, that a judge has authority to do a lot of things that we can't do as a board.
Right.
I did have one other question, Mr. Mayor. What is the timeframe on your noise ordinance that we're discussing?
Okay. Noise ordinance can be any time throughout the day if it's excessive, but more specifically from 7 to 11. So a noise ordinance is very broad.
From
7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Quiet things that are loud during that time frame are
It's not from
more
11.
concerning.
It's not from 11 p to 7 a.
Well, I'm not reading it, but yeah, I may be
It-
correct,
it-
but
it is-
what
it says on
excuse me,
there.
don't go back and forth.
Sorry.
Direct it to me.
I
I'm
don't
not
know,
gonna have it.
I was just asking.
Well, what I'm explaining is that the noise ordinance is very broad. It can be any time of day if it's continual and excessive. However, the ordinance, and I'm not reading, there's a certain time frame that it is looked at more seriously. And I would say that you are probably right, because I'm not looking at it. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is probably what it is. I'm not quoting.
It is.
Yeah. All right.
But now, according to the beer ordinance, it's any noise emanating from your your place of business.
Yeah, that's correct. So noise ordinance, as I mentioned early on, thank you, Alderman, that noise ordinance is not what we're talking about. The beer ordinance has a noise content.
They're different, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, so discussion from the Alderman. Any additional discussion? Okay, so we'll call for question, and this motion is to fine in lieu of suspension for each incident. So we, that is the motion. So we have not outruled any specific incident. So both incidents are on the table per Robert's Rules of Order. Alderman Reeves.
No, sir.
That's a no. Alderman Maynard.
Yes.
Yes on both counts
Yes.
of incident. Okay. Alderman Morgan.
No.
No. Alderman Wood.
I say yes on the, and I may not can do this, yes on the, ordinance 3.
Unfortunately, you can't do
I can't
that.
do
You
that.
have to vote for the
Okay,
motion
yes,
that
yes,
on both
yes.
incidents. Okay, so you have a yes. Okay, Alderman Carter.
Yes.
Yes. So the motion has been made to fine in lieu of suspension, lieu of revocation. And the motion stated $250 per incident. And there's 2 incidents there. It's a $500 fine according to the board. That is what we just passed, $500 fine. Okay, that is what it is, $500 fine.
Thank you.
So, Board of Mayor and all, Beer Board, I know this is a difficult task and difficult decision for you. I wish you the best in, the next several days of maybe some peace and harmony, but this is the role that you get to do with no pay and little things. I thank you for being on this board and for being part of it, and it's always difficult. So, thank you so much, and this meeting is adjourned.